What's up, my people? Welcome to the channel. I am the Mortgage Loan Legend, a seasoned professional with 25 years mortgage experience. Here, you will find useful information, tips, and advice on how to navigate the complex world of the mortgage industry. I'm here to provide you insights to help change your perspective so that you will always turn your losses into wins. Whether you're a seasoned vet or a novice, my content will help you grow not only as a person, but in whatever industry you're in. All right. Well, hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Lone Legend, and I'm back and got a very special guest. This is a realtor who I currently have the opportunity of working with on a loan, on a purchase loan. And so very excited when he decided that he would join us. And so go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend. What is your name and who are you?
Hi, I'm Jay Shaber. I'm with the Maricopa Real Estate Company and been in the business for quite some time.
So Jay, how long have you been in the industry? How long have you been a real estate agent?
Well, altogether 20 years. Held a license up in Seattle, Washington for 3 years before moving to Arizona. And then I've been a real estate agent and broker for the last 17 years here in Arizona.
And then before, what did you do before? Was that what you did for a long time and then you worked your way up to district manager, or?
Yeah, I did. I was in retail management for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
And then district manager for a few years after that, up until right about 2006, when I just said, real estate is where I want to be. And so I just made the jump. Yeah.
Was it the amount of money you could make, or I mean, what
No, I
was
come
it
from a
about
real
real estate?
estate family.
Oh,
I
okay.
come from a real estate family. Yeah. And my brother-in-law is a big-time real estate broker up in Montana. My brother is a real estate broker up in Montana. My dad was in real estate, so it's been in our family for a long time. And in 2006, when I got into the industry, we were still kind of on the upswing of the boom, if you will. But then 2007, it all crashed. So
Yes, I remember that.
it was a learning curve, that's for sure. Yeah.
And
I
so,
started doing short sales real quick.
oh yeah, yeah. I remember those days myself. It was
Yes.
literally the bank at that time. I worked in retail, and the bank that I worked for it was a smaller bank, went from $55 a share. It seemed like within less than a month, it was at 15 cents a share.
Oh my God, yeah. Well,
And
you remember Countrywide?
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I handled a lot of those short sales with Countrywide before they went defunct. And I had 2 asset managers with Countrywide that I talked to almost daily.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Countrywide was a big one. I think B of A bought them, if I'm not correct.
Yep, they did. Yep.
Yeah. Um, how did you get with those asset managers? I mean, did you see this happening and kind of jumped on top of it, or?
Yeah, I did. And that's a good thing for new agents is you not only have to work the current market, but you got to be looking forward to see what's coming, because that real estate disclosure, the market is cyclical. It always is.
Right.
And you can make money on the downswings too. So what had happened in 2006, I got together with a gentleman who has since passed, but he was a really big help to me. And he first came to me and he said, "Have you ever heard of a short sale?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Well, I've been reading about it in the trade journals, and I think it's something we need to learn." And so we signed up for a 2-day seminar on short sales, and we learned the ins and outs of it. And we started marketing here in Maricopa to all these folks that were underwater, struggling to make their payments, and underwater due no fault to their own. I mean, as you know as well, at that time, banks were giving mortgages to anybody that walked in the door.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
they were putting good creditors at risk by doing that.
Right.
And so these folks that were all of a sudden found themselves $100,000 underwater back then, to no fault of their own. We were short selling those homes, and there was that was basically the Maricopa market was short sales at that time for a good 2 years. 2007 to 2009.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
actually, it's funny. The bank that I worked for, and I'm not going to drop any names, but they actually were the top three for the negative amortization loan.
yeah,
Um, my interview was literally this: do you know what a negative amortization loan is? I said, yeah, of course. It's a four payment option plan. And for those of you that may not be as seasoned, so basically it was a loan program where you can go stated income, which
yeah,
means if you've got reserves, 401k, which a lot of people had a lot of money in a 401k at that point. Even if you were a janitor, I could say you made $100,000 a year. They would look at your 401k balance and they would say, "Yep, sounds about right to us."
yeah,
And this negative amortization loan, if done correctly, wasn't actually a bad loan. But the problem was, is it gave you four payment options. So the very first payment was interest only. The second
yeah.
payment was a 15-year amortized payment off your balance. Third payment was a 30-year payment. And then the fourth option, which is what everyone did, was less than the interest on your loan.
Yeah,
And
that
yeah, that's what people took. Unfortunately,
hurt.
when they took it, they made that payment because, I mean, it was like clockwork. Your
Yep.
property value was increasing 10, 15%. It was crazy year after year. So people were looking at houses as basically a bank account.
Yes.
And
Oh, oh,
so why would I make the total payment when I know that I'm going to gain equity, right? And
yeah.
then when it crashed, all these people had huge balances,
See,
but yet couldn't make the payment.
that's where being short-sighted can really hurt you. You know, all those people back then, and I sat at the table with a lot of them. They thought their equity was never going to stop increasing
That's
at the
right.
rate it was. I mean, and at that time it was double-digit inflation, right?
Right.
Or double-digit increases year to
Yep.
year, from
Yep.
2003 to 2006.
Yep.
And they just thought that would never stop. And a lot of them took out huge home equity lines.
Yep.
And then, of course, and a lot of them were on adjustable rates too.
Right.
And and they took those out in 2002. So that in 2007, that 5 year period, all those adjustables came into play, and now all of a sudden they can't make that payment now.
That's right.
So
That's right. And Jay is 100% correct because one of the things that I forgot to mention is those negative amortizations were also everything was adjustable. You had your margin that was fixed, and then your loan was tied to an index. And so the way they figured out your monthly interest rate was they would take your margin, whatever the index was for that month, they'd add it together, and there's your rate. Um, and a lot of people just were so. I think what happens to us, Jay, is we see something trending and it trends in our favor. So we turn a blind eye to what could be in 5 years.
right,
Right.
right. You don't want to look down the road. And and a lot of people too, because of those adjustable rates and because of those options that you were just describing, where they could keep that payment low, they were buying more house than they should have.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
People were really making 40, 50,000, but that minimum payment of didn't even cover the interest they could afford. So you literally had people, say a household income bringing in 70, 65,000 in a $600,000 house.
yes,
And it was just absolutely bonkers. Uh,
yes,
Wild West, the wild, wild
yes,
West.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think the government learned their lesson. They're not doing stated income loans anymore. They're not. Remember those no doc loans too, where you
oh
didn't
yeah.
have to provide anything.
Well, they still
So
offer those, Jay.
really,
Yeah,
oh,
what they've done is they've gotten very tricky. So there's a loan today called a DSCR. And what a DSCR is, I don't know if you're aware, but basically it's a debt service loan. So the appraiser goes out to the property. The appraiser then, when they during their cost approach, they're looking at the fair market rent amount in the area for rentals. And so what they'll do is whatever the client's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance with HOA dues payment is, they're going to take what the medium rental income that's being received monthly, and they use those two numbers to qualify a client now.
I'll be damned.
Yep. How many deals would you say? Now, I met you through, you're the listing agent.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So is your business primarily listings or are you
Yes.
both? Okay.
Yeah, I primarily like to list homes. And some advice for young agents is the old adage, list to last, is true.
I've never heard
Um,
that one. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
list to last. You want to become a listing agent primarily as you mature in your real estate career. Um, and a good way to do that is just to every deal you make, you should be writing down those names, numbers, contact information of those clients and touching them at least twice a year.
Mhm.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you and yours enjoy everything. Keep your name in front of those folks because, yes, they just bought that home from you. But in about 4 or 5 years, as averages suggest, they're going to sell that home.
That's right.
And you want to be the one that sells that home.
Yeah.
And that's how you create your book of clients, really is. You just, it takes time. It takes a few years. But once you do have that book of clients that you can be reaching out to twice a year, they will be selling homes. You'll never have to do a cold call again.
Yep. I often tell, because I'm also a mortgage instructor as well, and I often tell them a lot of work up front. And then in the back end, I mean, you're still going to have to do work, but let that business work for you. Um,
Yeah.
on the mortgage side, it's about the same. Every 3 to 5 years, people are either going to need to, kids are going to college, credit cards have gotten up, or they're looking to sell this property, families increasing. And so the 2 times that Jay suggests, I actually do a lot more than that. What I do is I do their anniversary. So when I'm taking an application and it's a married couple, hey, when's your anniversary? I'll write it down. Um, Kids' birthdays. And then of course I do the 4 big. I do the New Year, the Christmas, the Thanksgiving, and then I'll throw in like a Labor Day or a Memorial Day, 4th of July, something like that. So because the thought process to that is it's very true, the old adage, out of sight, out of mind.
Mind. Yeah.
That's right. And if you're not in their face, then they're going
Yeah.
to go to the next person no matter how good you did.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of options out there.
That's
So
right. That's right.
you got to break through. You got to break through the noise, and you got to be that stability for them. And
Yep.
yep,
100%. And then they also, how do they know you're still in the business?
that's right. Yeah.
Right? Especially with the internet nowadays. So 97% of people, so the way things happen is first you have a thought. Then that thought turns into feelings and emotions. You can see yourself doing this thought, right? You can, oh my gosh, how is it going to be in this house? And then this happens every time. The third step is action. So that action, 97% of people's first action is to go online. Hey, let me just see what's on the market. Let me see what's going on. And then you've got all these realtor names and advertisements popping up. And by the time you know it, if you're the one not contacting the person and staying in contact, they're going to someone else because you're not even part of their their thought process, right? So
There's always another agent and another lender that will be excited for that business.
that's
So,
right. That's right. That's 100%. And they're not going to be calling Jay, and they're definitely not going to call
no.
me and say, "Hey, I got your past client on the phone. You want to talk to him." So, yeah, very good. Good advice, Jay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so for you, so we know that you started off with the short sales. What you did was you saw it into the future. You knew that there was a
Yep.
whole bunch of bad loans happening. I mean, literally 10, 15, 20% in some areas. See, I'm from California, so it was nuts
Yeah.
when this was happening. And so you looked into the future. You knew this couldn't continue forever. And so you and a partner went and did the short sale conference.
Yep.
You guys learned so that now you could actually educate people. So you got uh, a value add that you can now give when the market switch. So extremely smart.
Right.
Um, now, so after the short sale, so after the '07 through '09,
Yeah.
you then started working with buyers, or were you in the listing
Oh,
space at that point?
yeah. So what happened was, and another old adage is I'd rather be lucky than good. So uh, that too is a big part of anybody's career, being in the right place at the right time, you know. And to do that, you got to show up. 99% of life is just showing up, right? And so working on the short sales, I come to meet a gentleman who very well to do, and he was starting to ask me questions about the foreclosure auction. And so I started to do a little research on that. And sure enough, of course, as you know, starting in about 2009, there were a lot of foreclosure auctions.
Yes, sir.
And so I did some research on a home that I saw that was coming up to foreclosure. And he and I went to the county steps and we bought it. And that began our flipping career.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so we did well with that one. We went and got two more. We did well with those, and it just snowballed. And so I was flipping homes then, quite a bit from about 2009 through 2014 or 15. I mean, that's kind of since dried up, but that was a huge part of the business. And in that time, of course, I started the company Maricopa Real Estate. And because a lot of the players in Maricopa were starting to leave because of the downturn.
Right.
And so I had been with Century 21 and then with another smaller outfit, but I thought, no, I want to go out on my own. So another partner and I did, and we started the Maricopa Real Estate Company, and we started flipping homes. And then of course we made a name for ourselves in about a 2-3 year time, and we were really the only brokerage in Maricopa after the downturn. And so we really started being aggressive in advertising towards buyers and sellers at that time. And then it turned from the market turned, you know, it became a lot of those foreclosures kind of weeded through the system, and people started having equity because they had bought those homes for $100,000 or whatever, and now a couple years later they've got equity. So
right.
the market slowly turned, and then we kind of went into more traditional real estate, which we are today now too. So
yeah, it sounds so. What I'm hearing so far is, my friend, you're always ahead of the game.
Well, you know, you try to you work the current market.
Right.
You're working the current market, but you're always looking ahead and saying, okay, where's this going? And so right now I see a lot more belt tightening for at least the next 12 months.
Oh yeah.
But a down market never lasts.
Correct.
And we are going to be seeing an upswing. Now, the good thing is we all live in Arizona, which is a business friendly, tax friendly state. And you're seeing a lot of businesses come into Arizona. And as the commercial development grows, residential follows. And so the interest rates are really kind of what holding us back right now.
Right.
A little bit of uncertainty is still holding us back right now. Buyers are thinking, you know, is this the time to buy, or should I wait another 6 months? So there is that. Sellers are seeing their home sit on the market for a little bit longer than they'd like, so they get a little bit of antsy. But this is all going to balance out again in about another year. I think rates will drop again. Yeah. And buyers will get aggressive. The buyers that are on the sidelines now are going to want to get going here in about 6 months to a year.
That's correct.
So, you know, so I would be marketing towards those buyers. Don't just think about today. Think about, you know, 6 months. And a good message to those buyers is, you know, real estate, like you said, it goes from emotion to actual visualizing that emotion and then planning. It's a good long process. So I always talk to buyers and sellers, hey, look, I don't care if you're doing anything today, but if you're thinking about doing something in the next year, let's start talking now.
Right.
You know, because it takes planning, it takes strategies, it takes, you know, research. So
yeah, and especially to now be on the listing side. I mean, think about that. That's someone trusted to get a certain dollar amount for the biggest investment of their house. I mean, that's a lot of trust. That's a lot of responsibility. And so when you're able to be a listing agent, trust me, they've vetted. They're not just choosing anybody.
Oh, they interview at least 3 or 4 people. So and you can count on that. Yep. So you have to be personable with them, show them who you are, really click with them, but then also give them very good market information, you
Yeah,
know,
100%.
and yeah.
Yep. Now, let me ask you, at your height, which obviously you've got a long career, how many were you, let's just say, how many deals were closing for you a month at your height?
At the height, anywhere from 5 to 10, probably. I
Nice.
had during flipping and short sales, there was a good time from 2009 to 2014 or so that, yeah, we were, personally, I was doing very good volume. The company was doing terrific volume.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
And
yeah, but
right.
that's unrealistic. That's unrealistic. And a lot of things, it was great. And the one thing I didn't do is went out and bought a new Lamborghini or,
Right.
bought the $600,000 home. I'm very conservative and frugal that way. And I always tell agents that I hire on and train, which I've done a lot of over the years, is to keep your overhead low.
Yep.
Don't get splashy. When you have a big month, put that back, maybe spoil yourself a little bit, but just run this like a career, not like a, feast and famine type business.
That's great advice. So right now, I know that we're under contract, but do you have any other listings currently that you're working?
I have two others right now. Yes.
Nice.
Mhm.
And now are these all from um, your book of business? Like how did you get these listings?
One is from Book of Business. The other was just a call into the company. Yeah, so and we ended up again. That was a home that we interviewed on. They interviewed two other agents, but we were local and we did a good job in our presentation, so we got the listing. Um, I always focus locally too. I don't try to be everything to everybody. I work Maricopa. I know Maricopa, I specialize in Maricopa, and I do my customers well here. If I were to get a Chandler listing, I don't know how well I could serve them, right?
Right. Right.
So don't try and be everything to everybody. Really work a local market, get to know that local market, and be a professional and a specialist in that market, and you'll do well.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Now I use Chandler as an example, but I've actually sold a lot in Chandler. I used to live up there, but like say for example Peoria or Avondale or you know out there that way. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the local HOAs. I'm not familiar with the local planning and zoning.
Yep.
I don't know what industries coming into that area. I don't know neighborhoods, adjacent neighborhoods, and what their movement's been or what their upward or decline is. And so there's a lot of things that I'm just not aware of in those areas that I would have to do research on.
Right.
Here in Maricopa, I can go to any neighborhood and I can tell you exactly what the HOA is, what the planning and zoning issues might be adjacent to that neighborhood,
Right.
what demographics are. It's just like the back of my hand. And there is enough business. If you carve out a local area that you want to specialize in, make that local area big enough to where you can carve out a percentage of that business to make a living on. I
Right.
mean, so that's you want to do, but then carve out an area that has enough business that you can make an impact in and have a career in, but also that you can just specialize in that area.
Right.
It like the back of your hand.
Well,
Yeah.
because one of the things that you're doing, Jay, is you're providing value. If I'm working with you, I feel so much
Sure.
more comfortable that you know the area, that you can foresee what the HOA is. Because see, one of the things that I teach is, clients are scared. This is a
Yeah.
scary time. And if you don't know what you're doing, now it just makes it even more chaotic, right?
Yeah.
And so if you know HOAs, clients are right now trying to figure out how much is going to be my payment. Can I float this payment? If my wife loses her job or if we change careers, are we going to be okay for 6 months until we get back on our feet? These are the things they're thinking about. And so with someone like Jay, I 100% would list my house with Jay because he's looking in the future already for me.
Well, bringing value is you nailed it. That's exactly what you have to do. And you can do that if you specialize in a market. One big obstacle for any real estate transaction is the home inspection. Okay.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Uh, well, sellers get alarmed by the report, buyers get alarmed by the report. Um, you
Yep.
know, buyers expect sellers a lot of times to just fix everything in the report. The seller thinks it's going to cost them $100,000 to get everything done. It's so that is where you can really place value, especially if you specialize in a local area. I I know the issues with these homes. I can anticipate what the report's going to say.
Mhm.
I have all the contractors and handyman ready to go to fix these issues. I've done this so many times in the past, I can almost guarantee tell them exactly what it's going to cost to fix these items. Through experience, I can tell them, look, this is not a big issue. We could kick this out if we wanted to. So it's things like that.
Yeah.
Now, going back to my Peoria example, I don't know what the issues with those homes are.
Right.
I've not been in those homes,
Right.
so you can, that's how you bring value to your client, by specializing in a market. You
Yeah.
want to take as much uncertainty away from your client as possible. And you
Yep.
can do that by being an expert in the market.
And it's so funny. Uh, Hearing a seasoned realtor tell a seasoned mortgage professional, we do the same things just on opposite ends of the coin.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm so far ahead. I'm always in every loan that I have the opportunity with, especially during the pre-approval process. I'm already outlining all of the risk factors. When I take an application, I ask so many follow-up questions to their answers because I look at myself as their lawyer, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking you to the court of underwriting. Okay. Tell me where the bodies are buried and let me figure out with my experience how I can keep those bodies buried. I mean, that's literally what we do. Um, and so, man, that's great insight, Jay.
Yes.
Now, so one of the things that you've done is you've surrounded yourself with a group of professionals. You already have foreseen these things. You can talk to your seller about what the cost would be around, et cetera. And Jay is 100% correct. And I'm sure listeners, you guys have dealt with this too. That home inspection comes back, they're not happy.
No.
Um, but I think what happens, I've never had a client tell me that a realtor actually sat down, went over the home inspection with them, and was a seasoned in that market.
See, if you're not doing that, you're not giving any value to your client.
Right.
The other thing too is the appraisal obstacle. If you've listed a home and you've pushed the number, uh, you owe it to your client to get that appraisal.
Right.
And if you're not leaving market information on the countertop that you want the appraiser to see that supports your position, you're not
Yes.
doing your client a disservice. The
Yes.
other thing, the other thing you need to do as a real estate agent is learn how to read a settlement statement and go over that with your client. So when they go to the title company to sign their paperwork, there's no surprises.
Right.
They've been through that settlement statement. They've been through you've coached them through that process, and there's no surprises. Here's another thing that a lot of agents don't really pay attention to, and that's the title report.
Yes.
When
Yes.
you open escrow, you want to ask the title company to generate that title report as soon as possible. Schedule B is what you want to look at, because that is where there's going to be any encumbrances, liens, or assessments, or anything like that your owner may not be aware of, and that will have a huge impact on the sale if everybody discovers that at the day of close.
Oh, and it happens, and that does
It
happen.
happens.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
So get that title report and look at Schedule B. Read Schedule B. That's where you're going to find those problems.
Now,
So
Jay, when you get a listing, I know that you have a title company that is your go-to. I'm sure they're in
yeah,
Maricopa. Do
yeah.
you actually ask them for a preliminary title report? Will they allow you?
A lot of times, yes. You got to have a relationship with the title company to do that, because that costs them money to
Right,
generate that report. But
right,
if you're doing a fair amount of volume with them, they'll do that for you.
right.
And yeah, it's if you have any suspicions on You know, something like if you've gone to the listing appointment or have asked them a few questions, do you have any liens on the home that you're not aware of?
Right.
Boy, I don't know. That's the time to get a title report.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
then oftentimes too, if not generating an actual title report for you, if you're working with a title agency, which all realtors should go find one, that's, I would imagine that'd be one of the first things that I would do is start vetting
yeah,
a good title company.
yeah,
Um, you can get logins. And so when you do get a listing, you can actually do your own research. You can log
yeah,
into that portal. You can see how many times the property has flipped hands.
yeah.
You can actually get in there. Did they pay their taxes? You can go to Maricopa's in Maricopa County, I believe, right at the
Yes.
edge, right? Go to Maricopa County Assessor's Office. You can actually see if there's any back taxes or anything of that nature. You can do your
Well, and
research.
another important thing to do there too is go to the Maricopa County Recorder's Office and pull up the deed, you know,
Yes. Yes.
and make
Make
sure
sure you're
who
talking to everybody, right?
exactly who are the legal owners on this property.
Right.
Yes.
Because you may not be
So
talking, you might be talking to someone who's got one idea, but they didn't talk to the other person, and now you're really just kind of wasting time. Yeah,
that's
100%.
exactly
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Though we're on two sides of the coin, as you guys are hearing, at least what I'm taking from it is the good ones, the one percenters, the ones that are still making money today, are doing all of these things 100% correct because they don't eh, Jay doesn't want to have one person say that he is not the expert in his area because that'll hurt his business. He wants to, if he's working with an agent, they want to know, man, if Jay's oh, this is definitely going to be good. Jay's already kicked the tires. He knows all of the issues that are going to pop up. And so that's how you guys build a good book of business and professionals around you that want to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Your reputation is everything in this business. That's what you're
Everything,
selling. And
everything,
if you take shortcuts, not only will your clients feel that, but so will other agents.
yep.
And
Mhm.
so, yeah, treat this like a career.
That's
Yep.
right. That's great advice. Um, so let me ask you this. So after the fixing and flipping, and then you went and you were with Century 21, and then you decided to open your own business. Very smart. Um, how many agents was it just yourself? I believe your wife also was in real estate as well. Is that correct?
No, no,
Oh, okay.
but we started with we started with 5 agents back in 2008 when we started the company, and it was just we wanted to just keep it the 5 of us.
Okay.
We were all seasoned agents. We didn't want a lot of noise in the office, and we all just did our business and went about it. We all liked each other, so it was good. Well, now we have 65 agents. so,
Yeah.
so, uh, so we you saw how long that lasted, but we have a great little company. 65 agents, of course, it's the old 80-20 rule. 20% of our agents do it full time
Right.
and really work it hard. But then there's that block of part timers that when you look at them as a whole, they do a lot of business too.
Right.
So,
And this is
yeah,
all just in Maricopa, or
yes,
do
sir.
they are they branching out?
Well, a lot of my agents are branching out. I have a few of them now that actually live up in Chandler and Scottsdale, and so they're working those neighborhoods
Nice.
well, but still signed on with my brokerage down here.
Um,
Yeah.
when you guys decided to change, what was the biggest deciding factor from just being individuals to coming together and actually building something bigger?
Well, we had a few people come to us and ask us if they could be part of the company, and they were friends and they were people we knew, and so uh, we brought them on and we grew a little bit. But then over the years, as the market started to improve in 2011 and 2012, and isn't that funny though? But every time the real estate market's on an upswing, all of a sudden you got a bunch of new agents in the
Right.
market, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so what Steve Murray and I decided to do, he was my partner in the thing, is we thought, you know what, we should take a couple people that we really like, young people, and send them to school, get them their real estate license, bring them back into the brokerage, and train them
Right.
and have them. The last thing we wanted to do was bring on agents with bad habits.
Right. Right.
And,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and
Oh my
it's like
gosh.
those agents that submit half written contracts, you
Right.
know.
Right. I've been in the business 15 years, but you still can't fill out a contract. Yes.
Right. And so we were very successful doing that. We have probably a half a dozen to a dozen agents that we sent to school personally and then trained them personally, and they're still with us today, and they're just doing gangbusters. And so it was, I don't know, it was our strategy, but it just worked, you know.
Just kind of
And
happened.
yeah, and so it's 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 all worked out well so far. We
Yeah.
are in a downturn now. We have a few of our part-time agents leaving the business, but you know that's to be expected right now. But it's I see in a year or two things are going to be on the upswing again. So get ready for that.
Now,
So,
Jay, when you say school, can you walk us through what type of what school are you
well,
talking?
real estate school. It used to be called the Scottsdale School of Real Estate, but now it's called the Arizona School of Real Estate. I think up there in Old Town Scottsdale. They're one of the best. They have a campus in Mesa as well. And we just sent them to their 90-hour classes, and we paid for it. It's, you know, and then they would complete their courses and then take their class exams and then their state and national exam, and we'd pay for their license and get them all hooked on. And it, you know, it was a lot of upfront money to us a lot of times, but it's paid off in the back end, of course, you
It's
know.
an investment. You're investing in,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
and it,
one of the agents that we did this with has been one of the most successful agents in all of Maricopa. So
nice,
she's doing fantastic. So yeah,
nice.
really proud of that. And you got to show them that it's a family, right? You're
Right.
building a family, not just a company.
Yes,
So
sir. Do you have a preferred lender? Do you guys just let them use whoever they want? How does that work?
I let agents use whoever they want. If we're really high, meaning the brokers, if we're really high on a particular outfit or very negative about a particular outfit, we'll let that be known.
Red flagging.
Yeah, I mean, there was a certain lending company out there that I won't mention their name, but we had nothing but trouble with them.
Right.
And so we really advised our agents, if you get a offer, or don't use this lending company. They
Right.
just don't do their homework.
Right.
Like you were saying, obviously you do your homework. A lot of lending companies out there don't.
Because in this industry, it's like a chess match. If you're not thinking 4 to 5 or 2 to 3 steps ahead, you will lose because you're only thinking 1 step ahead. And then now you're slapped with the next step and you're like, oh, I didn't see it coming. So the
Yep.
goal is to always be ahead of the game. That way, and it starts with the application process. It's so simple.
Well, and advice for real estate agents too, always get a loan status update, an
Yeah.
LSU
Oh,
every
yeah.
week.
Every week.
And that way you can keep the lender on track, you know, to make sure that things are being done in a timely manner.
Right.
So,
100%. Yeah. 100, and that's actually in Arizona. Those of you may not be in Arizona, that's actually law. It must be sent out once a week with
yep.
an update. Some other states, like I know California, that is not required, but Arizona does protect the realtor with those different types of laws. So that's so if you want, me to give you 2 times a week, if you want to come and talk to my processing team. So those are the things that we offer now. Is agents can actually every week, not only do we send an LSU, but we actually have the agent come into our Zoom. We go over the conditions with them. We tell them what we've already said. I mean, my team personally gives the realtor all of the control and we keep them there because I'm showing my value
Yeah.
so that the realtors know. Because now, even if something does pop up, because it does, Jay hasn't closed everyone, it's impossible. But we've been part of the process together, and now we come together as a team so that we can solve those issues instead of fighting each other.
Yep.
So it's building
100%.
that relationship. Now,
100%. If you start off with an adversarial relationship, nothing's going to go well.
That's
So
correct. 100%.
yeah, yeah.
100%. Now, Jay, so you personally, do you have a preferred lender?
Um, Not at the moment. No, I don't.
Well, I'm sure you have in your career, because this is good for newer LOs to hear.
I have. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I know
I have.
right now, I'm sure your agents are getting blown up by a new loan officer. Well, I'll get into that question next. So what made you? I know that you went from doing both listings and dealing with buyers, primarily on the listing side. Um, what made you stop using a preferred lender? What was some of your
Well, primarily because I stopped working with a lot of buyers,
right?
right?
Okay.
So I would, when I would, over the last few years, whenever I got a buyer lead, I would usually hand it off to, I have a couple other agents that work with me personally.
Right.
So I let them take the buyers, and a lot of buyers are coming to us now with a lender already in place. So they've already picked a lender. That happens a lot of times.
Right.
Um, but you know, when you are working buyers, you want to make sure that they have a good pre-qual in hand by a good lender that's done some vetting on them. Otherwise,
Yes.
you're wasting your time.
Correct.
I've had some agents that just refuse to take out any buyers and show them homes if they didn't have a pre-qual. My position has always been that I will always trust somebody once. And so if they don't have a pre-qual, sure, let's go look at a few homes that might be in your price range, but then I'm going to get them with a lender before we go out a second time.
Right.
So, you
Right.
know, to make sure that they can actually, because you're doing them a disservice. I
Correct.
mean, you don't want to show them a home that they absolutely fall in love with and then they
Yes.
have no chance of buying. I
Correct.
mean,
Yep.
yeah,
It's emotional. It's extremely emotional. And I think oftentimes, even some realtors, and especially loan originators, don't understand how much pressure they are under. I mean, imagine you have no knowledge about what it takes to get this done, and every time if you're not doing a file correctly to set it up, every time you come out, you're asking for 20 more items, 30 more items, 40 more, and now they're like, is this ever going to end? And then it's crazy.
yeah.
The things that I see. So yeah, no, that's very good advice. Thanks, Jay. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Um, does your office provide them with leads? Like, how do realtors get leads?
Well, that's a great question. There are lead generation companies. Okay, there's Boomtown, there's Realtor.com, there's Zillow that a lot of agents sign on personally with to do. We have done that in the past as a company, but we don't subscribe to any of those right now for our agents. But what we do is we have a nice office presence here in Maricopa.
Mhm.
We're well known. We've been there for 8 years now. We do get walk-ins and we do get a lot of phone calls. So a
Nice.
lot of our agents that are looking to pick up their business a little bit will come sit at the front desk, you know, several times a week to take phone calls and walk-ins. And you
Nice.
know, it's easy to get discouraged in this business because you're sitting here thinking, oh my God, it's Friday afternoon, I got nothing going on. But you know, one thing I've learned about this business is your fortunes can change tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you actually just show up, go do an open house or go sit at your office, one phone call can change your year. You
Oh, a
know, so
million percent.
yeah,
It's 100% treat everyone with love and respect because you never know who that person's going to be.
yeah,
Um,
that's it.
I want to share this story with you real quick before we get to the next question, Jay, because um, this story actually hit me hard. So there was a gentleman here in Arizona who he did well. But what he would do is he would take donuts to a title company every week, right? Different title companies. Um,
Mhm.
and so it was 10 companies, let's just say. And so every Friday he'd go and he would just talk to the front desk. It was an organic conversation. Hey, here, here with 1,000 calories for you to consume, before your weekend. Um, boom, boom, boom. Hey, if you don't mind, let me leave some business cards, but wasn't really pushing to get in the door, right?
Yeah,
Um, Now a month went by, no business. 2 months went by, no business. I think it was about 2.5 months, he received a phone call from the front desk person. And he said, "Hey, I've got a good relationship with this woman. She's having issues with her lender. Maybe I've asked her if you can call her. She said, please do." So he called the realtor. He was like asking some of the questions. He ended up getting the opportunity to do the loan, and he did it in about 14 days. This realtor turned out to being the manager for Redfin, Arizona. The man built a career off of giving donuts and having an organic relationship.
That's a great story. Yeah.
So you just never know. I personally, Jay, and I love working with only newer realtors because I want to give them the mortgage college, right? Here's what a
Yeah.
pre-approval is. Here, I actually give newer realtors 8 questions to ask anyone that'll help them recognize if they are qualified or not right off the bat. And
Yeah.
you see, because realtors don't know. I mean, you guys don't know, and
No.
so that is one of my value adds. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a great story. And I tell this to newer loan officers, don't be discouraged. You never know who you're dealing with. That new realtor could be, Century 21 manager in 5 years. You just never know,
Yeah.
so treat everyone with love and respect. Um,
Yeah.
um, in your opinion, what do you feel is affecting the market today?
Interest rates
Okay.
and uncertainty. Yeah.
Interest rates and uncertainty. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a dynamic at play right now that a lot of sellers felt like they missed their window. You know, back in 21 and even 22, I mean, we had a frenzy of buying and values were going up quick and people were getting kind of crazy money for their homes.
Right.
Well, those days are over, and now we're on a slight decline. So you have some disgruntled sellers that they missed the market. The interest rates continue to go up, and I think it's going to continue to go up, and that's putting a lot of people on the sidelines. Housing values are in slight decline right now, although I think that's going to level off here soon, only because of the amount of commercial development that's still going on in Arizona that's going to
Yep.
continue to hold values up.
Yep.
So it's right now, if we could get a break on these interest rates and we could level the decline in the market off a little bit, get a little more stabilization, and I think both these dynamics will happen within the next year, you're going to see an uptick in sales again.
Yeah.
So always watch what the developers are doing too. The home developers, the builders, they do their homework 2 and 3 years out.
Mm-hmm.
And they are still pulling permits. Okay. So they're not seeing a doomsday at all. So you can take that to heart. It's, we're just in a little trough right now. And I think we're going to come out of it in about a year.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with that. And I actually think rates are going to start dropping the next 6 months or so, maybe October, November.
Good.
Yeah, this can't keep going. They're
It's
trying to fight
unsustainable.
inflation, and that's the reason why the Fed keeps raising the rate. And what's going to end up happening is at some point they're just going to have to say, "Hey, we are in a recession. Stop lying to us." Right? And let's just kind of face the music.
Yep.
So that'll be happening here soon. Do
Yep.
realtors like to be blown up on the phone, Jay?
No.
What if you could give advice to any new loan originator that is calling you today to try to earn your business? What value add could they give to you? And let's just say you're not Jay,
Yeah.
65 agents under you. Let's just say it's a newer agent. Just telling them they got all these lenders and all the loan programs, does that make a dent with you?
No, what I did appreciate from the preferred lender that I did work with in years past was on a Saturday, if I needed a pre-qual, I could get one.
Right.
I mean, he would take the time to talk to my client, get those basic information details that he needs.
Right.
He would run a quick credit on them, and if he felt good enough about it, he'd issue me a pre-qual, and we could write a contract on that home that night. Okay.
Yep.
So of course, those were in the days when you kind of needed to write that contract that night. in
Right.
order to have a shot at it. So
Right.
um, being a lender that is available to you 24/7 is huge. Communication is huge, and appreciating each other's time is huge. So I would just suggest to those loan originators making calls to just say, hey Jay, I'm Joe and Joe with Stone Cold Lending, and I'm glad you answered the phone. Thank you for giving me just 2 minutes. I want you to know that I communicate 24/7. I'm local here in Arizona. I know the loan programs, and I'm here to help you in any way I can. I
Yep.
hope you have a great day. Keep me in mind. Boom.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
And then
he'll make more of
follow-ups.
an impression doing that than the guy that wants to keep you on the phone telling you about how great he is.
Right. Right. Because it's organic, and and I tell
Yeah.
people too, we're not in the loan business. We're in the service business.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
You're in the people business,
That's right. That's right.
And
And if
be
you're,
genuine, be authentic, be who you are. Don't try and be anybody else.
yes, sir.
So,
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, Jay, we really appreciate your time today, my friend.
yeah,
Great
this was fun.
interview. Yeah, it was a great interview.
This is my first Zoom, as you know.
Oh,
I showed you how old I am.
well, listen, you knocked it out the park, my friend. You gave a lot of great nuggets. Great interview. And of course, I look forward to working with you on this deal.
Yeah.
And getting it closed for you here really, really quick. So,
Well, again, you and I need to stay in touch.
thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And for more daily knowledge and content across all social media platforms, feel free to follow me. If you're also interested in being on the podcast, feel free to send your information. You can visit my website and a team member will reach out to you today. Until next time, my friends, stay hungry.